Hi, I'm Shirella. Godly patience. Well, the other day I was talking with my teenage daughter, and she and I were talking about how often should we pray. If something has happened in your life and you just really want some help with it, let's say, are you going to pray over and over and over? Are you going to pray morning and night? I know some scriptures that say pray always and have a continual prayer in your heart. And so she said, well, Mom, how would you like it if I was always just begging you and asking you, please help me with this, please help me over and over, just incessantly bugging me? And right then it kind of hit me that, well, I'm not God, so it might bother me and I might want that, I would want her to figure out how to make some of those choices. But then the thought that came to me was that God has patience that I don't have because he is God. He has godly patience. God has patience for our continual bugging him. I don't know if that's good for us though, because then that becomes over worry, anxiety. So sometimes I think we do just need to kind of put in the order and say, this is what I'd like, but thy will be done. And then do what you can in the meanwhile and then let it go if possible. God has patience for our making bad choices over and over again. His children on the earth are continually making all these terrible choices. And he just lets us. He gives us our agency. He lets us have the freedom. And if we check in with him, he's like, oh, well, here's what you can do. And I'm like, oh, well, you could have told me sooner, but I was busy making my bad choices. He has godly patience to allow things to let them happen how they will and let us worry that things are not going our way and try to push things and try to fix it and try to make it right. He lets it happen. And I think about like a play, like let's say you're watching a play on a stage. Well, you know that it's going to have the progression of whatever's going to happen in the play, but you're not going to go up there and say to the actors, wait, you need to get to the end. We don't want any of this first part of the play. Just get to the end. We let it play out. We know there's going to be conflict and there's going to be resolution, and God lets it all play out the way that it's supposed to for our good. God has patience for us as he sees us, his children on earth, messing up all the things that he created. He created this beautiful place for us to exist, and we go messing it up and polluting it and having people in control who shouldn't be in control and messing each other up, and he allows it. God has patience for our not understanding how timing works, how even the reckoning of time. So because time is man-made, God's like, oh, wait, don't they know that the 1,000 years that they think is a long time is just a very short day to me? Or even the order of things that we might say, well, this is the linear progression in the man-made way of doing things, that God might say, oh, well, actually, we kind of stick this here and this there, and actually things, what do they talk about? The time pockets and the warping and the wrinkles in time and that kind of stuff that our mortal minds can't even comprehend. And he's like, oh, they don't even understand how this time is. Like, to him, patience maybe is not even something to think about because godly time is different than man time. So the reckoning and the order of time may be so completely different that patience is really a non-issue. He allows patience. He has the godly patience for our experiencing and our learning and not rushing us. I know that I need divine patience for myself when I'm making mistakes, or just having compassion. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be human and mortal. I need that self-compassion for myself to say, I love you, I forgive you, thank you, you're doing just fine. I need divine patience for letting other people have their own time in what they need to be able to do to grow and progress. So I might be like, come on, let's get on this. We got to get things going here. And maybe they need a different timing. Some people work really well under the gun, the procrastination, the very last minute getting it done, whereas I want to have it well on the way. But maybe my way is not their way. So I need that patience for letting things happen to other people in their own time. I need patience in the annoying things that happen in life that are like, oh, I can't handle this. This is too much. I just can't do this. And with that also, I think I need the patience of giving myself the self-care that I need so that I'm not so bothered and bugged by things that frustrate. I know that I need more patience myself for things, letting them just play out how they will, just like God does for us. To just say, oh, watching that play again, there has to be the first of the play. We need to be set up. We need to know the plot. We need to know all that kind of stuff. And then we watch it slowly play out till the end result. Hopefully it's a happy ending. Could be a drama like Romeo and Juliet, and it's a sad ending, but any way that happens, it's going to be for the best in the end. So how do we continue in patience? Well, the first thing is to be aware that you're not being patient. So if you're sitting there drumming your fingers over and over and over and over, or you're pacing the room, have an awareness that you're not being very patient. And also be aware of the things that trigger you. Like, I know that I can be standing in a line somewhere and I'm like, I cannot handle this. I cannot wait for that self-checkout. But maybe I can. Maybe I cannot be triggered by some of those things that are the regular events in our life and just say, oh, do you know what? I'm going to read an article on my phone right now and it's going to be perfectly fine. I can handle this. So to be aware of your triggers of what bring up the impatience in you and maybe do something about it, or learn how to calm that or not be in those situations in the first place. When we are being impatient, I know oftentimes I need to fill up my life with something else, because impatience is part of boredom. So if you're like, oh, I'm getting so impatient, but really you just need to do something uplifting and edifying to fill up your time in a better way. For patience also, I think that we need opposite sides of things, the yin and the yang. We need both the quiet, the stillness, and we need something that is oppositional, that is adventures, pushing it, the masculine more side of things, that make it so when we can handle the things that require patience better, because we've already expended energy in that way. So we're okay. We're not like full of this energy that has nowhere to go. With patience, it's like, we're okay. We've had both sides. We're all right. And that brings me to meditation. It's amazing. Once I've adopted meditation and yoga and deep breathing into my life, how much I'm able to handle things that might otherwise cause impatience, because I've learned how to center and ground and know how to manage my thoughts, so that in the moment of impatience, I just go, oh, wait, like we're meditating, because meditating is like practicing for the real moment when you really need it. You center, you ground, you're fine. Because you've practiced that so many times. It's a habit for your mind to be able to slow down and be okay with whatever's happening, to have that endless patience. Oh man, meditation and yoga and breath work has helped me so much in that area. And those people who say, oh, I don't have the patience for that. There's a reason. You need to practice the meditation so that you can get to where your brain can go to the place of stillness and be able to be okay with being impatient. Because it won't even be there anymore, because your brain takes over and you're okay, because it's practiced. It's practiced that. So if you say I'm too impatient to meditate, think twice about that. Also, I think that when you're impatient, sometimes you need to take a perspective check. You need to look around and say, what do I see other people doing? Are other people able to handle this? What do other people do when they feel like they could be impatient? What do older people, as older people are walking slowly through the park, how do they do that? Or how does a little kid have the patience to just sit there and color all day? Like, what are the things that other people do, and how are they handling it? And how can you see things from a different perspective, so that it's not really a patient situation anymore? It's just a, let's think of something different, or let's do this a different way kind of a thing. Maybe even the older person walking through the park slowly is so much enjoying the blue sky, or the birds flying through the air, or the green tree. And you think that it needs to be going bam, 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 next thing, and they're just enjoying the moment. I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but some people say to pray for patience. Oh, I don't know, because you're going to get what you ask for. So I don't usually pray for patience. I just pray to maybe have the support that I need and the understanding for when times might otherwise be impatient. You can decide on that one for yourself. Also, corralling your thoughts. If your thoughts are just making you go crazy, you can find yourself impatient because you're not sure how to corral your thoughts. Kind of along the lines of meditation, but more about when your brain starts to go one way, you can take it and say, wait, here's where we're going to mentally keep these thoughts, so that we are just moving in the moment instead of, I can't wait till this moment. We're just mentally going along with time and life just as it is. For things that are helpful to corral your thoughts with, not things that are damaging or boring or whatever unhelpful thing you might come upon. Also, when we treat our bodies well and get enough exercise and good food and good self-care, we're just going to be better off. Think about if you haven't slept very well, or if you're super tired or you're hangry. All of these things can make you impatient. So keep up on your good treatment of your body. Sometimes we just need to surrender. Sometimes we just have to say, I can't do anything about this. And so I'm not going to try to be patient about something that I really don't have control over. And you just let it go. You can reach out to other people. If you're impatient, you can reach out to someone and say, I need some help. Can you help me here? And maybe, let's just say you're standing in that line at the grocery store and you're impatient. Call a friend, call somebody, reach out. And then they can do the same for you. When they're impatient or having problems, they can reach out. We can support each other. Gratitude. When you become thankful for things like the blue sky or the birds flying through the air or the greenery of the trees, when you're grateful for these things, it kind of amazingly takes away impatience, because then you get more in the moment of just being so grateful for whatever that thing is that you're appreciating. We can regulate our emotions so that when we have something that maybe would be an extreme, we don't go there so much because we've already regulated our emotions. That can help our patience, because patience in itself is like an emotion. So if you're regulating a bunch of other emotions, it's going to be in the same wheelhouse of my being able to handle something that doesn't get into the extreme too much. And if it doesn't, then have compassion on yourself. It will at some point neutralize. And then sometimes we just need to realize that the things that we want to have right away, that we're impatient about, maybe you need to be realistic about it, and it's just not going to happen. You just need to surrender that thing. So many times after someone has surrendered something, like maybe wanting to have a baby or finding the love of their life, and they finally just give it up and they're like, okay, I'm not going to be so impatient. I'm not going to worry about this anymore. Then voila, it lands in their laps. How many times have you seen that situation? Well, I think of a story about a guy who was a young man, and he was doing everything that his parents did not want him to do. And his dad was a leader in the local church, and his dad was embarrassed because this kid was taking other people with him and doing bad things. And the dad so bad wanted his son to turn around and do what was right. But of course that son was rebelling over and over and over and over again. Well, I guess that son had a dark night of the soul where he reached rock bottom, and he had an awakening experience where he realized that everything he was doing was not right. This took a lot of years. And finally, he woke up and he said, I need to repent. I need to do things right. And then eventually that son also became the leader of that church in time. And how many times does that happen where you're so impatient for what someone is doing that is not working right? Yet that kid made such a turnaround that he became the leader himself. You never know what's going to happen. You never can say that time should be working along your way, because is that even fair to say? Are you God or something? No. So have patience. If you'd like to talk about self-care and about more things like this, patience and what we can do about these kind of things, you might like my program for better health. And you can find it at www.honeydewhealthin91.com.